Welcome to the Eye of Power podcast. I'm your host, Tom Dardick. But this podcast is not about me. It's about you and your power. It's time to claim yours. Welcome to the Eye of Power podcast. Today is the fourth installment of our trip around the Eye of Power model. We've talked about three of the four quadrants, the pain quadrant, where we work on our relationship to pain, in other words, negative feedback, or at least feedback that doesn't feel good, but that serves our longer term interests. So that's things like pushing our comfort zones or making sure we're clear about what we're sacrificing in order to get something more valuable that we desire. In the pain quadrant, that's what we focus on. In the perception quadrant, it's more about our perceptions towards ourselves. So it's the disabusing ourselves of the patterns and things that hold us in place because of our self-perception. In the people quadrant, it's our attitude towards other people. And so we look at the ways that we hold ourselves back through our proclivities and our biases and perhaps some of our fears, but the habits that we have as it relates to our relationships with other people. And finally, today, we're going to look at quadrant number 4, the purpose quadrant, which are actions towards directed for the benefit of other people. And the purpose quadrant is the fourth quadrant. Everything sort of rolls to that. The energy sort of goes around the circle. It's hard to do opposite there, around the circle, and then to the purpose quadrant. Now, the word purpose is something that we use often. It's not an esoteric concept or anything like that. But there is more than meets the eye to it as we kind of delve in, just like most things. I'll just start simple. So if you think about purpose, I think of like an ant. Have you ever seen a line of ants? And maybe as a kid, you were in rapt attention watching them at work. And they're doing their job. They're working tirelessly and with no other distraction other than to do the job that they are born to do. So it might be go get this leaf and cut a piece of it and bring it back into the nest. And if something gets in the way, all you do is figure out your way around it. And while ants aren't sophisticated in terms of consciousness, they're very sophisticated as it relates to doing their jobs, and as a result are one of the more successful of nature's designs. As that relates to people, you think about somebody who's single-minded or focused on a specific outcome, champions who have dedicated everything else, sacrificing all else to attain that golden ring or whatever it is they're working towards, and they work tirelessly. And that's what it takes because others are willing to do it too. I always think of the movie Forrest Gump. And if you haven't seen it, it's something I would very much recommend. It's an allegory that kind of shows a lot about really American society through the 60s and 70s. But really, it's more about really what life is about. And Forrest is not a smart guy. He's self-sufficient, but some people would say barely. But one thing about Forrest Gump is that he's not distracted by sort of those other ideas that would get into smarter people's minds. So whatever he's doing, he is 100% focused on that. And as the story unfolds, he does all these amazing things comically, but there's a point to it. As he joins the military and can follow commands to the letter and better than anybody else because he's not distracted, doesn't think about anything else but what he's doing, or playing ping pong or running or really anything he does. And it includes even relationships where he was focused on his girl, Jenny. She didn't want to be with somebody who wasn't smart. And so she was friends and loved him, but didn't want him as a partner. And that didn't sway him. He was dedicated to her for life. And so these things have some power to them. That's why I mention it to it. So what is that power? It's really alignment and focus of our energy. And so what happens that either helps us in that pursuit or stops us, gets us off track. And that's what the purpose quadrant is about. So like the others, there's 4 layers. We start with the inner layer here, what we call the corrosions layer. Those are the forces that hold us in place, that keep us from building that capacity in that particular dimension. So what keeps us from serving other people in as powerful a way as we can? Well, in the corrosions layer, for that, we call it carelessness. You might call it apathy, but if you notice, all 4 begin with the letter C, so carelessness was the closest we could get, so that's what we went with. It's really that sort of feeling or that disconnect, the feeling like nothing really matters, like things are pointless, that in the end, we're all going to be dead. In the longer term, the earth is going to be gone. So why are we getting all in a tizzy about really anything? And there's a point to that. So it's not based on nothing. But just like all wisdom, you have to understand the context of things. You have to understand what the point is from your perspective, not from the world's perspective, not from God's perspective, but from your perspective. And one of the things that we notice in life is that the more purposeful you feel, the more you feel like what you do matters, the more meaning you experience, the good things go along with that. Certainly, our agency and our personal power go up as we feel purposeful and meaningful. So at the very minimum, if you want to make a difference, if you want to have the ability to build a life the way that you'd like, if you want to be able to serve other people in the way that you think you can do best, then apathy is an absolute killer. Now, apathy doesn't just start by itself. There's a lot of causes that kind of beat us down in that way. So we have to sort of take a look and see what it is, what's sapping away our feeling of purpose, really. And so that's what we do in that corrosion. Moving to how you get out of that is the quest. And in the case of the purpose quadrant, the quest is why. Why do it? And we need to come up with some compelling answers for that. Now, one of the things that helps us along that particular route is to take a look in the mirror, just like we do at all stages of the game, but really in this case, take a personal inventory. I often say, and you've probably heard me if you're a regular listener, say that none of us are probably, except for one person, is the smartest. None of us are the fastest. None of us are the best looking. None of us, except for one, are the most charming or whatever attribute you want to ascribe. When we try to say we are the best or we are unique and only us can do that, it's not usually in the case that we are better than everybody else. No, what it really is that we have a combination of things. So you might not be the fastest, smartest, most skilled, most experienced, but no one else has walked in your shoes. No one else has the particular makeup that you have. Nobody else has the ability to do things exactly the way that you do them. And so when we're trying to find our purpose, what helps us a lot is to take inventory of that set of attributes that you and only you have. And then once we sort of see what those are, we get busy developing them. And then once we're developing them, we're putting them to use to benefit others. And that creates a positive feedback loop. We get better, others give us positive feedback. We get better, others give us positive feedback. We expand our capacities, we grow, we learn, we contribute. And so it really does give us a profound sense of meaning as what we say here is become the most fully expressed version of ourselves. And so that's the work really in the purpose quadrant. Now, what can get in the way? What we're doing this, we're doing wonderful, we're working on ourselves, we're getting better every day, we're focused on our missions. The trap that we can fall into in the purpose quadrant we call conceit. So that's when we start looking around and saying, wow, not only am I pretty good at this, nobody can do what I can do. Therefore, I am some sort of special entry into the world sweepstakes and I deserve something. I deserve special consideration. I feel like I should be placed above other people in some way. This is a big trap because that's forgetting that everybody else has a basket of attributes that is unique to them and only them. So when we start playing the game of putting ourselves above. And we start doing that a little bit. You see the trap in the people quadrant we talked about last week. That's comparison trap. That can lead to the conceit trap. And the conceit trap is just thinking that we are better, deserving more, we're above things. We think others are less than we are. And as soon as we fall into that trap, we cut off avenues of growth. So as soon as you fall in that trap, you've now limited your upward expansion because you are separating yourself from other people, number one, and number two, if you're separating yourself from other people, you can only serve them to some degree. You can't give your full expressed effort because of the way that you conceive the world where you're up above and somebody else is below. That doesn't work too well. It leads to all other kinds of things, tyrannical type behavior, disrespect in the workplace. And of course, that's a killer. We talk a lot about that. Respect and trust are the foundations for all thriving organizations. And if you have people that are falling into the trap of conceit, think they are better or more deserving because of, this is a problem for our culture. So once we can get past that and get our minds clear about just how wonderful we are, because here's the truth of it. You're wonderful. You're awesome. You're fantastic. There's only one of you. Get over it, because that's true for everybody. So take inventory of what you are, be glad about that, rejoice in it, feel like you're worthy, because you are, but remember everybody else is worthy too. And part of that is wanting to help them manifest more of their worthiness, which is really brings us to the capacity in this layer, which is the virtue that we're trying to develop over time. And that is, in this case, the capacity of contribution. So this is being passionate about really uplifting other people, helping them get over whatever the thing is that's in their way. So it might be small, doesn't matter. It might be something profound, and that's wonderful too. But it's the idea of you doing the thing that you and only you can do in that particular way, and doing it to the best of your ability to as big an effect as you can, that really fuels the sense of meaning and purpose. And that gives us energy. It gives us energy to get past obstacles. Gives us energy to, if somebody's trying to pull us down, they have less hold on us. So we become much more strong, much more like the rock in the sea, where the waves can bash up against it all they want, but the rock just stays there. And as we build our purpose and our contribution, we become like that rock in the storm, and that's very valuable. It's first of all, it's joyous in the sense, and it's pleasant, and it feels good because you have that security, and that serves us at a very deep level. But it's also joyous in the sense that people can count on you. So it becomes another accelerator. So that positive spiral goes faster. And so that's how you can get to that place that only you can go. And then when people see that because of your contributions, that's generally speaking what award ceremonies and recognition is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about saying, wow, this is really something that this person did. And we should take a moment and say, thank you, or congratulations, or we appreciate you. And so I'll just end by saying that that's wonderful to happen to yourself. And it's also a good habit to do for other people. So when you see others, for the beautiful individual, only them, no other person's walked through life in their shoes. When you build the ability to see that and then have the attitude of wanting to help them, and then your actions move from attitude to actions, are towards lifting and contributing, that's when not only purpose builds, but really all the joys of life, all the good things that this world has to offer us open up, and we experience abundance, connection, and really the best life that we can possibly manifest is down that path. So that's the trip around the Eye of Power model. Hopefully you watched all four. If you haven't, you can go back and see the previous three. I took some time here to explain the whole thing because it really is an integrated whole, and we use it as a multi-tool. So we use it as a map, a flashlight, a path, a compass to orient us. So if you're trying to make a positive change of any kind, doesn't big or small, doesn't matter. The question is, how are you going to do it? And what our claim is here is that it's one or more of the forces, whether it be the corrosions or the traps, that's at work. And the path forward is one or more of the quests or the capacities. So the way that we use the model is to systematically apply each one. And we do through prompts. So we have prompts that give you little exercises, small ones that result in what we call sustained incremental action. So they're little things that you're going to do over time. Nobody has a magic wand. I don't have a pill that just changes you overnight. Boy, if I wish I did. But no, I actually don't, because this is what life is about. Life is really about the journey. And so this map just helps us move down that path with perhaps a little bit more speed and elegance than we otherwise would. And that is the utility of the Eye of Power model. So thank you for your interest. If you want to talk about more, if you want to push back on something that I've said, if you want to see how we use the Eye of Power and how it might apply to either you or your team, please do not hesitate to reach out. That's what we're here for. So thank you, and I wish you nothing but fulfillment and to the path that maximizes your agency and your ability to create the world around you that is going to lead towards the most joy for you and others. So thanks so much for being with me, and we'll see you next time. This has been the Eye of Power podcast with Tom Dardick. I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd also like to thank my brother, Scott Dardick, for the music and his music production. If you'd like to reach me, simply email Tom at dardickcommunications.com